Good afternoon. Dana Briggs from Armor Building Solutions. We are located at 631 Red Oaks Lane in Ridgeland, South Carolina. Armor Building Solutions services Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Our primary areas of responsibility are in Charleston and in Bluffton, Hilton Head, and Savannah, Georgia. I'm taking this opportunity to share with you how to deploy your storm panels. I will start this by first going over the tools of the trade. Here are some of the tools and items that are not necessary all the time, but would be useful when preparing your house for the deployment of storm protection. When you use a sidewalk bolt, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the video, you should use some form of anti-seize. And here are three recommendations: a 3-in-1 oil, PB Blaster, or WD-40. If you have an alternative anti-seize, please by all means go ahead and use it. The purpose of the anti-seize is to make sure that when you insert your sidewalk bolt or stud, that it does not lock down into a female panel mate. And I'll explain to you a little bit later of what a female panel mate is. A utility knife or a small screwdriver is very useful, especially if you have knockout plugs on your home. A tap and die, which is a 1/4 thread, to be able to use the tap when you clean out the threads or need to clean out the threads in your female panel mate, and a 1/4 die if you have to clean the threads off of your sidewalk bolts. Also, tools of the trade are a wing nut fastener and also a impact wrench. You can use any brand. They're all very good. It just makes it a little bit easier on your hands when tightening down the bolts. Also, I would suggest that you use work gloves, because the storm panels that are made out of aluminum and galvanized are very sharp, and it's very easy to cut yourself. So now I'll take you over to the house. This is an example of a direct mount for aluminum panels. You'll see that inside of the openings there is a fastener. That is called a female panel mate. And a female panel mate looks like this. And on the inside of the female panel mate is a 1/4 thread that a sidewalk bolt goes into. So these female panel mates are located 12 inches on center when you're using aluminum or galvanized steel. There are other methods that can be deployed, or other products I should say. One is Fabric Shield, made by Wayne Dalton. When it comes to deploying your storm protection, whether it's Fabric Shield or galvanized or aluminum panels, they all get secured the same way. So to not belabor the installation process, I've already taken the time to take most of the buttons out, but left one in so you can see how I take it out. Again, you can use a utility knife or a screwdriver. And all you need to do is just be careful, because you don't want to scrape up your house. Go into the back of the button and just pull it out. And let it go to the ground. You can pick them up later afterwards. So now you can see all the female panel mates are exposed. And I wanted to again show you a female panel mate. And your house could either have a female panel mate or it could have a male panel mate. And you can see the difference. A male panel mate has the male threads exposed. A female panel mate has 1/4 threads on the inside of it. So if you look inside the hole, you can see the 1/4 thread. Now there are different bolts or bolt configurations that can be utilized in securing your storm protection. A sidewalk bolt is the most common, or there could be an all thread. It's still a 1/4 thread, and a wing nut. For the sake of this installation, I'm going to go ahead and use sidewalk bolts. Again, when using a sidewalk bolt, you want to make sure that you use a form of anti-seize. One of the first things you want to keep in mind is you never want to bury the end of the sidewalk bolt into the bottom of the female panel mate. Once you do that, it will set up and seize. And if you go to remove the sidewalk bolt, the female panel mate will come out with it. So you want to take great care in making sure that you don't set your sidewalk bolt to the bottom of the female panel mate. It's really important that you take your time and deploy your storm protection before a storm ever hits the area. Go one window at a time. Make sure that you're comfortable with it and that it fits properly. So when it comes to storm installation, if you look at this particular installation, you'll see that there's openings located on the left and the right. And these openings are the female panel mates. And this is what actually secures the storm panels to your home. Female panel mates can be mounted on the top or bottom, or the left and right. If they're storm panels, they're going to be 12 inches on center, and if it's Wayne Dalton fabric shield, it could be mounted anywhere under 10 inches on center. When deploying your storm protection, if your mounting is from left to right, you can start from the bottom and work to the top, or you can start from the top and work to the bottom. It's totally dependent on your comfort zone. You'll notice that in this particular instance, the top hole is probably about 8 feet up in the air. So that means it requires me to use a step ladder. When doing your storm deployment, please make sure that you use an OSHA approved step ladder. And please take every precaution to use safety. Safety always comes first. So located in your garage or attic should be your storm panels, toolboxes, or your fabric shield, one or the other. Within your toolbox, there is a map. And on this map, the windows are numbered. So usually we start with the left front being number 1. So this is the front of the house. Goes 2, 3, 4, all the way around to 16. We are at corner number 14. So we are going to deploy the panels for the number 14 opening. So when you look at your panels, you will see a number on your panel for opening number 14. In this particular instance, there are 6 panels to cover this opening. They're all labeled number 14. You can use any panel in any position. They're all the same. So to deploy your storm protection, you take your first panel. Again, be very careful because the edges are very sharp. Bring it over to the opening, making sure that the flat side of the U is down against the building. Line up your holes and go ahead and start your first sidewalk bolt into the bottom. Once it's started, you can go to the opposite side. It's a little tricky sometimes, and you must use patience. Once it's started, keep it loose. You don't have to tighten it at this time. The first panel has been installed. Now we'll proceed to the second panel. Grab the second panel. Bring it over to where the first panel is located. Overlap the edges and line up the holes. And now the second hole up, you're going to go ahead and put your sidewalk bolt in. So this is the third panel, and the third panel is installed the same way as the second panel and the first panel. Line up the holes. Now there is some slip, there's give to it, and that's why you don't want to tighten down the bolts yet. You want to line up the holes, get your sidewalk bolts in, and once all the panels are on, you want to go back and secure the screws. And I want to talk to you about securing the screws. You want to make sure, again, that they don't set in the bottom, all right? And I am not using anti-seize because I'm just showing you how to deploy your panels onto your home. But when you tighten these screws, you don't need to tighten them to where they don't move any longer, okay? The purpose of the sidewalk bolt is to secure the panel on there. It is allowable to have a 1/4 inch gap in between the panel and your home, the trim on your siding. So please don't over tighten. There's no need for that. The purpose of hurricane protection, storm protection, is not to prevent breakage on your window. The purpose of storm protection is to help to reduce the possibility of pressure from the storm on the outside of your home going into your home by breakage of your window. Storm protection prevents your roof from being blown off your house. It doesn't prevent your window from being broke. It doesn't protect, your items inside your home. You as the homeowner are responsible for that stuff. You need to take care of it. Again, the only reason for storm protection is to stop that differential pressure from going from the outside to the inside of your home. So now with your panels on your house, and they're all loose, but everything is snug and fit properly, you can go back and use a tool or your screwdriver to tighten them up. Again, they don't have to be torqued down to where they don't turn anymore. They just have to draw the panel in so it's snug. So in summary, please take the time to deploy your storm protection. Safety first. Make sure you have the proper tools and they're in safe working order. Double check your toolboxes, your maps, and if you have any questions, please contact us, Armor Building Solutions, at 843-717-1746. We're here for you to make sure that you are comfort with your storm protection. But a part of that comfort level comes with you taking the time and deploying your storm protection before the season. I want you to understand that hurricane season runs from June to November, so please be ready.